What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to the Mortgage Heroes podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about control what you can, stop waiting, and start positioning yourself in a way that prepares you to buy a house in San Diego or wherever you're looking. So let's get right into it. Everybody wants rates to drop.
Yeah, but nobody knows when.
And that's the trap. That's the trap.
That totally is.
While waiting, prices, competition, and life keeps going on. And that's what people don't understand.
That this isn't really an interest rate market. It's actually a strategy market.
You couldn't have said it any better, Will. You don't win with timing the market. You win by positioning yourself in this type of market.
You know, here you go, like the stocks, right? It's not about timing the market. It's about time in the market.
100%. And that's exactly what we're going to be breaking down for you guys today, so you guys understand clearly what you need to be doing if you want to buy a house here in San Diego. So let's get right to it.
Yep.
Stop waiting for rates to drop. Like, just stop. I mean, like, you can't predict the rates. I mean, can experts predict them?
You know what? It's so difficult for them to predict it, and they can't.
And
that's the honest truth. With so much chaos, volatility, everything else that's going on in the market, there's too much uncertainty and too many things that factor, and it's very difficult to predict.
And that's their job, Will. They do that professionally, yet they can't put their finger on the pulse. So then why are we trying to?
Well, you know, here's what the most people don't understand is rates are really dealt with the inflation that's going on, with all the chaos that's going on in the world, with the whole Iran thing, the Venezuela, all these things do factor in. We just had rates change, and it was just because we predicted that the jobless claims would be lower than expected. And here it is. It came out better than expected, and therefore everything just turned for the worse.
And we have to be wary of that, and we have to understand that these things are happening. But when you're trying to control something that the entire world can't control, why are you doing this to yourself? It's like going in a hamster wheel. You're literally just going in circles. So I would just say, when rates actually drop, what really happens in the market, Will?
Well, we have way more competition. And we saw that. You know, history always repeats itself. So when we do see interest rates lower, people just want to get in. They're starting the bidding wars. How fun is that?
It's so much fun. Said no one ever.
You know what I mean? When you got 2, 3, 4, 10 buyers putting an offer in, and then next thing you know, it's like the home is no longer 500,000. They're going to 520, 550, sometimes even 600,000 just to get that property.
100%, and it just becomes like an auction at that point. You're literally just seeing who's going to price the highest. And just to give you guys a little bit of context, like let's say you save and you're waiting for the rates to drop, right? Okay, you waited for the rates to drop. You saved yourself $300 on that rate. But you bought the house $30,000 to $50,000 above asking price because of competition.
How does that make sense?
Exactly. Like, how does that make sense? And I guess some people's math's like that. Yeah. But in reality, lower rate doesn't always mean a better deal.
Absolutely. And, every market's going to be different. At
100%.
least here in San Diego, we're experiencing that. That it's the shortage supply of homes.
Yes.
We see that a lot in Florida too. Some areas in Florida, it's not that there's a shortage, it's just there is more affordability for people, and therefore there's more offers going in.
No, 100%. And I think it's very important to look at it from this type of lens. Buy when you're able to afford the payment comfortably.
Yes.
And you have to realize that just because you want to buy a house, maybe it isn't your time. But if you have the right strategy, for example, refinancing later, if you get, a higher rate right now, when rates drop, you're able to refinance when, Will?
Well, that's the beauty of it, right? That the whole cliche that we've been hearing the last few years is marry the home, date the interest rate.
Yeah, 100%. But only marry the home if the price makes sense today.
Exactly.
Because I've seen a lot of divorces happen.
Yeah, sometimes rates just don't happen. They're going down, so.
But no, like moving on to point number 4, like timing versus readiness. What are winners doing right now? The people that are getting their offers accepted, the people that are making traction and are actually controlling the way that, they're sending their offers.
Yeah, and I like that you bring that up, because that is part of the whole equation of being successful and finding that right property, and knowing what your affordability is by properly preparing.
100%. And for the people that are having a little bit more, difficulty trying to, get an offer accepted, or just get their mindset in the right alignment so that they can understand how this market is actually performing, I think waiting for perfect conditions, it doesn't help you, or it doesn't help you as much as you think. So what I mean by that is that the market doesn't reward perfect timing. It rewards people that are ready and have a strategy.
Yeah, no, I like that. It's very true.
So that being said, how can people navigate through this chaos, through everything that's going on? Because let's face it, regardless of what's happening, we know inflation is still running hot.
Yep.
We know the war in Iran is kicking our butt, and anything that they say is having a crucial effect on rates, on the economy, on the markets. You've seen the liquidity, like literally these last couple of days, just crazy amount of volatility.
Yep.
And if you're looking at the news, I mean, good luck. You're drenched in fear.
Golly, man. And they portray, well, I mean, a lot of these things are happening, right? But I mean, it's like a lot of times it's just stay away from it.
Yeah, and as much as you want to stay away from it, you look left and right, you look right and left, and it's like someone's always putting some doubt, some fear, when in reality, we understand those things are there, but life keeps going on, things keep moving, and I feel you just have to have the right plan in place.
And I'm glad that we bring these things up. Like, I stopped watching the news for certain things, especially back in 2009 when my kid brother was, part of the Navy. He's part of the Navy Airmen, and so he practiced with the Navy SEALs. So every time I'd go to the gym, I'd see the news going. I'd just see another helicopter from Camp Pendleton goes down.
Yeah.
And I was just like, man, and being that the communication isn't really there with my kid brother, because it's not like we could just pick up he's got a satellite phone and we can just talk.
Yeah.
That wasn't possible. So it really brought more anxiety and fear and, just what's going on. So I just kind of just got away from that.
Yeah, and you know what? It's crazy because, now with social media and everything, going off topic a little bit, we have so much access and we're able to see exactly what's happening before, whereas, times back when we didn't have smartphones, we didn't have a freaking broadcasting channel on our phones.
Exactly.
We would just hear it, and you would hear it eventually after things happen. Now you're in real time, real life. You're watching as the action's happening.
Exactly. And I want to go with that because that's something that I can control, right?
Yeah.
I can control what I'm going to watch.
100%.
And what direction I go, because everything else, there is nothing I can control on what's happening out there.
No, 100%. And, to add to that point, if you wait for the world to feel stable, you'll never make a move. You're going to be waiting forever because once this conflict's done, I guarantee you another one's going to arise. But that's just life.
So one of the things we can control and prepare better is going to be our income.
Yep.
Right? And there's so many times, Brian, where I've had to tell some of my clients, like, listen, Brian, I see you're the breadwinner. But your wife, what's going on? The kids are already back at school. It's not like you have daycare needed anymore. They're going to school. Maybe we have to put her back to work, to help become a contributor, especially in certain parts of the country. It's like we need two incomes to qualify. So that's one thing you can control, right? The other thing we can control 100% is going to be your credit. What's your spending limit? Even though right now we're seeing $1.3 trillion of consumer debt, we can try to minimize that a little bit. Maybe not have a Starbucks or.
And it's funny that you mentioned that because, those little spendings, those little things add up down the line. And it wasn't until I went through all my budget and started seeing oh crap, I'm not making big purchases. I'm really not. I'm not going out taking trips. I'm not buying myself designer clothes. But the daily little purchases that accumulate over a month, over a week, you're like, oh crap, I just spent $500 on literally just, the gas, this stuff like that. And you're kind of wondering whoa, that's how quickly money goes if you're not if you're not looking at it and managing it right. And I struggled with it growing up, so it's I understand at times it's stuff, but you have to figure out a way.
Absolutely, you have to prioritize it. One of the things you have to do is just prioritize what's your goal? What is your purpose? Are you here? Are you going to be a renter, or are you seeing yourself that you're going to build some type of legacy? We already know people who are homeowners are going to be better off in retirement.
Yeah.
That's already a statistic there that's proven that's what you're going to be just way better off.
No, 100%. And I feel right now the people that are winning aren't the ones that are ignoring the chaos, but rather understanding it and aren't getting control with it, because your emotions can get controlled. But when you have a strategy and plan in place, it's going to be very hard to kind of toss you off your game.
Yeah, no, true. Very true.
Moving on, let's talk about short-term versus long-term. I've been having conversations with some of my clients saying hey, should I purchase right now? Or, how do you feel about this purchase moving forward? I feel with everything going on with the war, with the economy, is it really a good time? And it's the magic question, if we knew. And I always kind of take a deep breath because I'm
yeah.
Well, if I had the answer to that, believe me, I would not be here.
I love that question because I wasn't prepared when I bought my first home. When I saw the payment, I thought it was just crazy,
Yeah.
right? And I go back like the parents were. When I bought my house, it was like 17% interest rate. Well, yeah, mine was 8.75 on a 242,000 purchase price. But being that I'm 23 years old, that was very like, how am I going to do this? But all of a sudden we did that. And then you get comfortable with that. And then the following a year and a half, I ended up buying a bigger home.
Yeah.
And that's how it just, you start getting used to, because you have a better understanding. You create a better budget. So anytime is good when you could afford it.
Yes. Thank you for saying that. And you know what? I'm glad you bring that up, because I was talking to a client as well that he was unsure buying a second house. And I told him, like, look, I know the payment might be a little bit higher from what you had on your last house, but you have to look at it like this. Down the line, you're going to thank yourself for making this move. And although maybe it might be a little bit tight right now, life will adjust. And he's like, oh, well, I'm going to get a raise in August. Well, there you go. You know, like things will adjust. Maybe you start a side hustle. The wife goes back to work, like things like that. But you can make it happen. Don't just close yourself off right now and say you can't. You're already halfway there. We're already here, buddy.
Yeah.
And he was afraid, and that's what I'm trying to drive. That being afraid is okay, but when you have a plan and you have a strategy, that overtakes the fear, because now you're not just betting on hopes and dreams that it happens.
Absolutely.
You have a solid plan in place that's there to back you.
Absolutely. Like, yeah, just prepare yourself.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes we have to prepare ourselves. Like, I wasn't really as prepared, but there was a dollar menu back in the day. And I prepared myself. That's what we eat at times, until we got used to the new financial position that I put my family in, you know, and it all worked out. It works out.
I love that.
And, you know, you're not human if you're not fearful, if you don't have doubt. It's just not being human.
Yeah, no, 100%. There's nothing wrong feeling that. And just one specific little fact about the San Diego market that a lot of buyers need to understand. There's very limited supply, strong demand, and it's a very, very desirable place to live. People want to live here no matter what. They'll pay for the weather. They'll pay for all the amenities that San Diego comes with. But look at it like this. If you have the opportunity to purchase right now here in San Diego, you're not buying for 6 months. You're looking at this for 5 to 10 years. And if you have that mindset in mind, I feel that you're not going to lose. Even if there's a down dip along that time, over time, well, you have stressed it enough, and I've seen it in your examples, you're going to end up winning if you just hold. Yeah,
it's just
like
time.
It's just time.
Again, we're going to go back with the stock market. It's not timing of the market. It's time in the market. We're going to have these cycles that just go up and down. And it's just, that's what it is, you know? And so it's just a seasonal thing. We'll get bypass it, and it just comes back stronger. The other great benefits of actually owning a home and putting yourself in the best position is there's also tax write-offs.
Yes.
You know, there's also some capital gains. I think it's unfair that while we pay taxes for a home, we already paid for the lumber taxes, we pay for the roof taxes, we pay for our windows taxes. When we sell the home, there's taxes. Good thing we have, you know, a capital gains tax-free. When you're married, it's $250. I'm sorry. When you're married, it's $500,000. Single, it's $250, right? And it's unfortunate that we have to pay tax again on that. But when you're paying tax on something, it's because you made something good too.
Oh, that's a good way to look at it.
So
that's a good perspective. So, you know, sticking on that note, let's talk about having a plan and not emotions. Look at it from this point of view. For example, when you have a plan, you know that you need to have, you know, a safety belt. If you're looking to get into the market and you say rates are high, well, can you look at it from a point of view? Can I get in right now, hedge the payment for a little bit, withhold it, and then refinance down the line? If I understand the way the market's moving, rates are high right now, but we know that eventually they'll be coming down.
Yeah.
And if you listened earlier to what we were saying, when rates do go down, what happens?
Refinance that thing.
And then what happens to the people that were waiting? They inundate the market. So if you were waiting, good luck. There goes your waiting. Yeah. There goes your savings. All you did was just save time for people to have more time to then get into the market.
That's it. And those are huge challenges. That actually, a lot of times what happens, it's for people that could afford it and then the rates went down, other people that were just saving their money and putting more money towards an offer, it just gets them priced out of the market.
Yeah.
So those are some of the risks that people do find themselves, and we've seen that happen.
No, 100%. And would you agree that, you know, uncertainty only hurts people without a plan?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It always does. It creates the what ifs, and there's nothing better than just asking the questions, using your resources. And that's one thing we lack is we don't utilize our resources enough. And so the thing is, go to your favorite person, lender, realtor, whoever it is that is knowledgeable, that is constantly in the trenches.
Yep.
And the great thing, there's like websites like homes.com where you can research a realtor and see the production. Get somebody that's going to negotiate the best deal for you.
Yeah, and for people listening at home, we help people understand these types of deals every day, day in and day out. We do this for a living. We tell them this is a good deal. Hey, maybe you should hold off. And it's all geared based off their situation. It's not our job to sell you, but rather present you with the facts that you know of what you're able to do.
I like that. That's so true.
So let's go ahead and close it out. And, I had a few, very key takeaways that I want to make sure that everybody really just drill them home. And one of them for me is going to be stop waiting for the perfect time. And I know it sounds like so cliche, but it's so true. The perfect time is when you start, and you should start sooner rather than later.
Yeah. My other thing is, my other thing was focus on affordability, not the interest rate. The interest rate, you're not going to marry that. That's not going to stay there with you for a long time. You're just dating that for a minute.
Yeah, 100%.
And so as long as you put that in your head that I'm just dating it for a minute, as soon as the rates go down, I get rid of that one.
You get a better lower one.
Let's go get a better one.
Kind of like a Leonardo DiCaprio. If they get to a certain age, you got to change them for a lower one. So just change your rate for a lower one. And another big one for me, Will, and I've been driving this one, have a plan and strategy.
Absolutely.
A plan means, you know what to do. A strategy, it's a plan that got put into action.
Yeah. And again, control what you can control. Being prepared, controlling how you're spending your money, creating a budget. That's something we're not trained to do, but it's so solid to just have a sheet. And the cool thing about things is like, you can go to Google and just, hey, can you provide me a sample budget sheet and go through it just to give me an idea and tally everything up that I spend. And then what do I do with all these subscriptions that I'm Netflix, Hulu and all that? What can I start cutting off?
Yep.
Right. And then you cut those things down, and all those little things could go into the bucket of saving and just preparing you better for the next big step you're going to take in life.
No, 100%. And, to close that out, I feel the market doesn't reward how you feel, but it rewards those who are ready. And when you're ready, you're able to, take on those opportunities, get through those obstacles, because rather than taking out in blind, you had some sense of direction there to help you move forward.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that.
And, one last thing is, like, I understand that, we talk here to say, hey, you should be buying, you should put yourself in the position, but I get it. Sometimes, you may not be in that position, and that may not be you just yet. For example, look, if you're not financially ready, don't do it. And I get it. A lot of people, you hear it also all over social media, but then start with what you can control.
That's it.
That's my plan for that. If the payment doesn't make sense, why are you going to put yourself in that? You're literally shooting yourself in the foot. It's a no.
Exactly.
Digress. Take time.
Don't force yourself. Don't force something to happen. Anytime you feel anything that's forced and your gut says that, that's the time you retract.
Or take some time off and rethink about it. Take a seat,
exactly.
Pillow, consult with your pillow, and then go and then make that decision. And for me to close it out, this isn't about pushing people to buy, but it's rather about helping them think correctly about the situation they're in and being strategic about how they go about what they want to do.
Absolutely. I mean, just think about what you want to do, what kind of legacy you want to live. Do you want to leave a legacy? There's nothing wrong with renting. Sometimes owning is overrated.
Yeah, of course.
A lot of things come with it. But I can assure you, while I've owned in the 20 plus years that I've been a homeowner, I have no regret. On the contrary, I continue to invest, and I continue to teach my kids how they can invest in themselves and how we're going to help them just create. So right now, my way of investing is by building, and so there's just different ways to maneuver with real estate.
I love that. Real estate honestly has an avenue for everybody. Is just how open you are to understanding and then taking action.
Exactly. Taking action. There it starts.
I think I'm going to go ahead and leave it on that, Will. Thank you so much for your time. I really enjoyed this one. I hope you guys got, some good ideas, some good tidbits, and you actually take these, run with them, create a plan, get a strategy in place. And hey, if you don't know where you're at, that's the perfect time to get started, to go start looking for the answers and just put yourself in a better situation. Again, don't control what you can't control. Control what you can. And if you have any questions, reach out to us. We're here to help. Thank you so much for your time. We'll make sure that we send this out to everybody, but make sure you like, share, subscribe, hit that notification button so that you always don't miss out on another episode that comes out. Thank you so much.
And we'll see you. And remember, we're not here for you. We're here with you.
Let's go. I love that, Will.
If you like this video and like to subscribe, click here. And if you want to watch other videos, click here.